Right, hello Robert, and welcome to the East Palestinian Film Festival.
Thank you.
It's really exciting to have you here as a very strong Jewish voice in support of Palestine. That's quite a rare thing these days, so we're delighted to have you.
Thank you. I think it's very significant that we've now got a global consensus among the human rights community, particularly with the Amnesty International report and the Human Rights Watch report, that there is this clear consensus now that one way or another Israel is practicing apartheid across the territories that it effectively controls from the river to the sea. That's very helpful in terms of just changing the narrative, shifting the discourse on Israel-Palestine, because it becomes easier to explain what's going on in the ground when you can point to these very well-researched reports that are put out by very credible people, and you can't just ignore them and say, well, I don't like that word, or that's too emotive or too offensive and you mustn't use that language. It forces people to engage with the evidence and to look at what are these organisations actually, what are they written up and what are they showing and what are they illustrating. So from my point of view, and I think for anyone involved in Palestinian solidarity, this is a very helpful advance for all of us.
And do you think they go far enough? Do you think they're doing the job?
Well, that's interesting, because if you look at some of the reaction from Palestinian scholars, they welcome the report, certainly, but they also think they don't go quite far enough, because they don't really explain, what are the real political roots that have caused the inequalities to exist. And what they want to point towards is that you need to think about the settler colonial project that Zionism has been, and that the lack of equality of rights is really a symptom of all of this. It's a symptom of the problem, and therefore to deal with it you have to go all the way back and think, well, why has this happened? And that means doing a much deeper political analysis, which then in turn leads to an analysis that's to do with decolonialisation, and how do you decolonise Israel-Palestine, and that's what Palestinian scholars are wanting to direct us towards.
Yeah. And sometimes it seems that whenever any criticism of Israel appears, there's often a kind of pushback that often relates to anti-Semitism and the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism. This often gets brought back up into the media, and I wonder how you see the relationships and how you see that sort of following through.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there is a relationship in terms of the pushback that you see. The reason why you're seeing the IHRA being so heavily promoted, the reason why you're seeing so many campaigns against boycott, divestment, sanctions as well, is because Israel is concerned that the apartheid narrative is gaining more and more credibility, and it's thoroughly disrupting that mainstream pro-Israel narrative that most people are used to hearing. So it's not surprising that the IHRA is being adopted and promoted, and that BDS campaigns are attempting to close them down through legal means, changing the law. That's happening. So what we see is that Israel is bothered by these reports. It's bothered by the consensus that now exists within the human rights community, and it's trying to find a way to push back, and usually it finds it can only do that by accusing people of anti-Semitism, which is tragic, really, because I think it's just unbelievably unhelpful both to Palestinians and indeed to the Jewish community to muddle understandings of anti-Semitism and pro-Palestinian campaigning, but sadly that's where we are.
Thank you.